Hey, this is Ansley, and I'm in the Germain Robin tasting room. And next up is this Mezcalero number 4. This has a real story behind it. Mezcalero de Cabra. Cabra is Spanish for goat. Here's how it came about. I was in, this is from Don Valente Angel in, he calls his Mezcalero bottling Santa Maria La Pila, which is this tiny community that he lives in, but we call the Alipus from him San Andres, which is the bigger town nearby. Anyway, I was over there with Hector Vasquez from Los Danzantes, just paying a ceremonious visit and tasting some things we were thinking about buying. And we started talking about putting things in barrel. And I said, you know, I've been thinking recently that putting mezcal in barrels doesn't do it any good. There's this kind of the deeper vegetal qualities seem to disappear. It tastes more sort of like whiskey than it should. And at almost exactly the same time, Don Valente said the same thing. Don Valente doesn't understand my Spanish because he's one of those guys that doesn't matter how good my Spanish is, he's not going to understand it because he's afraid he's going to misunderstand it. So I always talk in Spanish, and then Hector translates it into Spanish for him, often with the same words, but you know, that's how it goes. Anyway, so we're saying the same thing at the same time because he hadn't heard me, and Hector starts to laugh. And I said, how long does it take? And, you know, for it to really show up? And he says, you know, 12, 14 years. And I said, we don't have the money to take a bunch of mezcal, put them in bottles, and let them sit for 12 or 14 years. And he got this kind of funny smile on his face, and he said, there's a secret way. So it turns out the secret way is you take the stuff and bottle it, and then put the bottles in an enormous pile of goat, I'll use the word excrement because I'm on camera, but anyway, so you take this big pile of goat manure and you put the bottles in it. And what exactly that secret does to it, it's hard to say. I assume it has something to do with the heat generated inside one of those piles. But anyway, it says for 6 months. So I said, Hector, let's do it. And it took him about a year to talk Los Danzantes into actually carrying this out. But last April, 2017, Don Valente took a really beautiful mezcal, which is espadín and bicuiche, wild bicuiche, and put it in bottle and then carried out the secret method, which I never got to see, okay? I'm just taking his word for it. But, and so here it is. We did it for the 6 months, and then they brought the bottles out and cleaned them up, and then it took us a while to decide exactly what we wanted to say on the label because we thought it was not smart to say exactly what had happened. And then we got, you know, label approval from the feds, and so here it is. It came in about 2 weeks ago. So what's it like? You know, if you hold up this bottle next to it, there's this kind of a little bit tinge of very sort of cream-like. It's not yellow and it's not white, but it's sort of like this lack of transparency in this bottle compared to this one. And all right, now, how's it taste? And the reason I say that, the reason I noticed it, or what I was looking for, is that I have tasted mezcals that are 10. We're actually going to bring one in a couple of months that's 12 years old, been in bottle for 12 months. They turn yellow. They get this pale, sort of like straw color to them. And I was looking for that effect in this bottle, and all I get is a little sort of like lack of transparency. But so what's really noticeable about it is that usually when you take a mezcal that's, you know, a year old or less and put it under your nose, there's a little sharpness to it. It's not alcohol, it's just, you know, sharp. I mean, it's a little pungent, you know, you'd say forward is maybe another word for it. This doesn't have it at all. It's very subdued, very calm, smells very soft. There's a bicuiche, high acid. You know it. I like it. Acerbic is the word I use because I don't want to say biting. You know, that's a bad word to use about alcohol. But it's got a little bite to it because it's amazingly high acid, the agave itself. But that always carries with it this sort of dark chocolate taste, which is round and rich, and which I really like. But what's really noticeable about this is how integrated it is, all right? In other words, you don't have the sense of, hey, this is Espadin and Bicuiche, this is some kind of agave that doesn't exist, which has characteristics of Bicuiche and Espadin. In other words, it manages to be both round and soft and a little forward and a little acid all at the same time. I've never tasted anything like this. Beautiful, beautiful nose, and a very nice finish. So that's it. Mezcal de Cabra, the only one ever that has reached the United States, I guarantee it.